Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's episode is a creepy cryptid creatures encounters and experience, and these have been sent in by some of my subscribers and friends, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. Some very, very interesting and different encounters. Of course, please do let us know down below what you think. Of course, please do like and share. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's first story, sent over by Angel, entitled New Year's Demon. Let's get straight into that. Hi DMT, I have a story for you. I was babysitting about 14 kids on New Year's Eve night, probably 1995, about to be 96, possibly 96, going on 97, I can't remember. I was about 15, in West Texas, the Permian Basin. It's a desert, you know, the place where tumbleweeds, mesquite were the only real trees unless you planted them, and mesquite don't get very tall. A place that had more sandstorms and lightning storms than it ever rained. The nights there stayed very bright, usually. On cloudy nights, the city lights bounced off the clouds, and with few trees and flat land, the night stayed about candlelight bright all night. On starry clear nights, it could be darker, unless the moon was bright. And this night, it seemed to be fairly cold and a clear night. All the adults were inside having a good time, while I was outside trying to keep occupied 12 kids I didn't know, plus the 2 I normally babysat, and my little brother. Because it was a cold night, our neighbour had their fireplace going. They lived on the cul-de-sac at the end of our road. We lived diagonally across from them, right at the entrance to the cul-de-sac. So, the roads out in West Texas are huge, wide enough to park a vehicle on the side of each curb, and still have 2 vehicles easily pass each other. You don't see roads this wide in most neighbourhoods around the country, but there is so much land versus people out there. As we were playing, we noticed the chimney smoke looked like it was swirling different than it had all night. As we looked closer, it looked as if part of the smoke was darker, thicker, and had a shape to it. We all had to rub our eyes and double take. This dark part of smoke separated from the rest of the smoke and then started floating right towards us. The closer it got, the more shape we saw. Thinking at first our imaginations were getting the better of us, like when you see shapes in clouds or a tortilla, until we saw beady red glowing eyes. All of the kids started running away and screaming. So thankful they did, I ran too. But then, my little brother and the youngest little girl I babysat, often, started running back towards it out of curiosity. I was so upset, but wasn't about to let them go alone. So, I ran back after them, and the sister of the little girl did too. We ran screaming for them to come on, and those 2 just stopped, watching it float away. So I did too, along with the other girl. We literally just stood there, dumbfounded, watching it. It looked exactly like a gargoyle. I had always thought those things were made up to ward off evil. But this night, I felt that this was evil, and looked like it was too. It had a chiselled look, creepy fanged smile, thick stone lips, and cringing eyebrows, with pointy ears. I still remember his arms and legs, curled up and tilted to one side. Those gargoyle-like muscles and claws, all different shades of stone grey. It never moved its position, or shifted. It just floated like stone with red eyes, until eventually floated off. Those red eyes, man, and smiling, and having so many witnesses. I still deal with naysayers who think ghosts and paranormal sightings are hallucinations. But how do that many people have the same hallucination? And yes, of course, we try to tell the adults. A laughingstock was made of us, and I was the bad babysitter for scaring the kids. I sometimes feel like I have seen it all. Why? I don't know. But this is just one of many insane experiences. Regards, Angel. This next story was sent over by my friend and subscriber Shane, who sent over a Bigfoot encounter quite a few weeks ago. It's kind of a recap on his thoughts and theories. I think you guys will find this interesting as well. We'll entitle this The Legend of the Happy Dog. Let's get straight into that. Greetings DMT, it's Shane. I really enjoyed listening to the video on my encounters. I wanted to add another interesting story. This one relates to the encounter at the fishing pond. There is another legend in that area called Happy Dog. It's about a ghostly dog that had died or was killed long ago. His owner died before he did, and after the dog died, reports about a huge white ghostly dog started to appear. Apparently, it would go through people's cars, causing it to shut off, or it would attack their cars, leaving scratch marks on it. It's about around the same location, somewhere off of Old Bombcombe Road in Union County. I have never seen it, but I know a few folks who have. I wanted to share my opinion on my encounters. When I first saw a Bigfoot, I was terrified but curious. But the strange thing is, I didn't feel like it wanted to hurt me. There was one other encounter I had long ago, when I was a teenager, around 1985 or possibly 86. Me and my brother, a friend and my mum was up late during an ice storm. We had some chickens in a huge lot me and my brother built. It was 7 foot tall and it went around like a huge square pen. The boards were made with 4x4 wood and strong wire to keep out other animals. Well, that night, as I said, the ice storm was pretty bad. We were in the living room in the dark watching TV when suddenly, from outside, we could hear something down in the chicken lot. Something was trying to get in there, making breaking sounds. We were all scared to go down there in the night, especially in the ice cold weather. So, we waited until daylight. When we got down there, the boards on one side were broken in half and the wire was bent way down, just like something had just pushed it down. One of the chicken pens had been torn into and the chickens were gone. A rooster and 2 hens taken. Back then, I didn't know much about Bigfoot or anything about Dogman. Whatever it was, got what it wanted. It was the last time we kept any chickens. As much as I used to go hunt and just spend hours in the woods, I never had any problems then. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I first experienced my encounters. But it's the Dogman that really frightens me, more from all the stories I read and saw on them. Terrifying, to be honest. I wonder just how they have been around. Perhaps they are a creation from the fallen angels, or from something else entirely. Thank you always, and I really enjoyed all the true great stories you do. God bless, and be safe as always. Sincerely, Shane. This next true story was sent over by a friend and subscriber who will just go by the first name Rain, and I'll entitle this one simply Dogman Dreams. Well, let's get straight into that. Hello DMT. I'm a big fan of your videos, though I never thought for a second that I would have my own Dogman story. Well, my girlfriend and I live in central Missouri, Last week, her and I went to a conservation centre at the end of this creepy, long dirt road. It rained the day before, and so the road was slick and there was a lot of clay. It turns out that the centre was just a boat ramp into the water. Since it's winter here, there was a massive ice sheet over a portion of the river. Before I continue, her and I talked a lot how we need to go to this place with peace, because we knew of the Dogman sightings in Missouri. Well, we forgot about that talk and wanted to see if we could throw any huge rocks through the ice. Of course, they just bounced off. When we arrived there was a blue jay chirping. Stopped, though I did not notice it. After a while, I said that I feel something was watching us, and my girlfriend said that she felt something too. We were both instantly very scared and hurried back to the car. It was 5 p.m. and the sun was going down fast. I had to rush back, but not wreck the car on the road. We made it back to town okay, thank God. Now, 2 nights ago, something really strange happened. I had a dream that I got into a fist fight with a dogman, and I woke up swinging at 6 a.m. in the morning. Now, this is the creepy part. My girlfriend was at our house, and she had a dream that she was turning into the dogman, and saw how scared I was, and then she woke up at 6 a.m. too. I believe we experienced a watcher with psychic capabilities. I've had a few bad dreams since that time at the river. It feels like our dreams were linked together, as if she was turning and attacked me, and I was in a fist fight with it. I never thought for a second that I'd have any such encounter. We're both scared to go camping in Lead Mine, and it's a great place. We've decided that if we ever go hiking, we go in the morning. Regards, Rain. This next story was sent over by my friend Jim, and we'll entitle this one Dogman in the Drive. Let's get straight into that. Dogman report from Omaha, Nebraska. About 5 or 6 weeks ago, my sales rep brings in this guy. My rep looks over at the guy and says, "Go on, tell him." I get excited to hear what he has to say. The guy starts by saying that I was well informed on what he was about to tell me. I could tell he looked nervous, and then he begins his story. Him and his wife, which live outside city limits, on a small acreage by a creek, were leaving a house around 7 p.m. As they was getting into the truck and began backing out, he then saw something move behind his truck on the reverse camera. He thinks at first it must be a deer, until his wife starts screaming, "What are they?" He quickly turns the truck so the headlights go on them. DMT, 20 feet in front of the truck lights, are 2 creatures. One was around 7 to 8 foot tall. The other one was around 4 foot tall. Both had black hair. Then he said they jumped from their driveway and moved towards the creek. He turned his truck again and put high beams on them. The large one stopped and looked back, showing him a mouth full of teeth. Then he said they both took 2 leaps and cleared the creek and an embankment and were gone. He said he has never seen anything move so fast as they did. By this time, he was visibly shaken and upset. He looks me straight in the eyes when I asked if it was a Bigfoot, and he goes, "No, they were werewolves." He then had me tell him everything I know about these creatures. He also said that earlier in the week he'd walked out in his backyard at night and something jumped up and over this retaining wall, which is around 10 to 12 feet high. He brushed it off as maybe a bobcat. Well, not anymore. Well, this creek he lives by also goes to the infamous Hummel Park, where I've had my encounter with Dogman. So, after work, I go to the stretch of creek by Hummel Park and drop into the creek to see if it's been travelled. Not only has it been travelled, but animal bones were everywhere. A dog, some small animals, and a deer was killed. Then I found an area where something big had made a shelter. That's when I noticed everything went quiet and you get this feeling you're in a bad spot. I followed my gut and backed out slowly. So far, I've heard from 3 different people that live in the area of something making a howl like they've never heard before. Regards, Jim. Let's get into tonight's Sasquatch encounter, sent over by Mary. I'd like to entitle State Park Sasquatch. Let's get straight into that. Hi DMT, it's Mary. I have a Bigfoot encounter for you I think you'll enjoy. I live in a very rural area. The largest state park in the state borders my property. One evening, I was on the back ridge on a blacktop road on the back side of the park. It was not dark or dusk, although the sun was getting low, and it was a clear day. Suddenly, this creature jumped the fence on my left, coming out of the park, and I stopped. It just stood on the road in front of me for a good full minute. Maybe a bit longer. So I got a good look at it. In fact, we locked eyes. It was about 15 feet from me. It just stood there and looked at me. It was about 8 feet tall, dark, matted hair, and I caught a whiff of a foul odour because the wind was behind it. Not a big wind, more like a breeze. After a minute, 2 at most, it crossed the road and went into the woods on my right. I tried to see where it went, but the woods are so thick on that stretch of road. It was like it just disappeared. There is no doubt in my mind that this was a Bigfoot. The farmers in this area have been seeing them for years. We just don't talk about it much. I am convinced there are more than one because I sit on my back deck at night and I hear wood knocks on an occasion. Whoops. Sometimes one will be spotted crossing a field, but I believe my encounter is the closest anyone has gotten to one. We have never had any problems with them coming down to our farms and bothering livestock. I think that is because they have such a good food supply in these woods. Deer, berries and pawpaw trees, not to mention our orchards. I have seen footprints in the orchard a few times, but for most part they stay away from us. I believe they are animals, intelligent but still animals. And with the vast woods in this area, I am not surprised they are seldom seen. But just about every farmer in this area has seen or heard them. We have also seen their structures in our woods. Bent over trees, broken trees, rock piles, etc. But as many times as I have been in these woods, while I've had a feeling of being watched, I have never been bothered. One of the things that surprised me was its face. I expected one to look ape-like, but it did not have an ape face. Neither did it look human. Its face was hairless but had long hair all around it. My personal theory is that the wood knocks and whoops are not only a form of communication, but is also to let them know where each of them are during a hunt. I think this because several times when I hear them, it is not long I will hear a deer scream. People do not realise that deer scream, but they do. When you hear it, you do not forget it. I also believe that one of the main reasons we are not bothered is because they know that we belong here. You see, some of these farms, like this one, have been around for over 100 years and passed through our families. And all of us who live in this area are of the mind that, as long as they are not bothering us or going after our livestock, we will not bother them. Sincerely, Mary. Wow. Thank you, Mary. What a wonderful, wonderful encounter and story there. Please, of course, do let us know down below in the comments. As ever, please do like and share. And remember, if you're taking the back road next to the state park and it's just starting to get dusk, keep your eyes on the road. And above all, remember, be safe, not sorry.